So, Paula, this must be a really exciting day for you.
Well, I'm nervous and excited. You know, it's been a long time coming. When I started writing, you know, you imagine what the time's going to be like when it all starts. You know, when you find a publisher and so you sort of have kind of like little fantasies and that. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. So yeah.
For you, and obviously you'll be hoping that people will see this and they'll be really interested in your novel and will want to read it.
I hope so. I hope they'll find it intriguing enough, and I hope that this conversation that we're going to have, David, because you've read the book and you surprised me about just how in depth you've sort of read it, you know, so I'm kind of excited to actually be able to talk to somebody about the little clues, I suppose, that I've woven into the story.
Well, I mean, it's a very well written book.
Thank you.
Really drags you in. You travel along with the characters, with the main character, and it really sort of like, but it has you thinking at the same time as you're doing it, and we'll hopefully look at some of those aspects of it as we speak. So, I mean, to start with, getting here has been quite a journey for you.
Yes, yes. I know I've sort of spoken about this before, but I didn't leave school very well educated, and I did a lot of what I call dead-end jobs. You know, they weren't very taxing, they were semi-skilled sort of work. And then one day I decided that I wanted to really set myself a challenge, and I'd been writing family articles on family history because I researched my family history, and I thought I'll start with them, see if I could get them published. And to my surprise, I actually did. I had 7 non-fiction articles published, and I actually got paid for them, which was quite nice, which was an added bonus. I didn't realise people got paid for them. And then one day at work, I took a short story in, and my friend Lisa, she read it, and I wrote, it was a vampire story actually, and she said, yeah, it's nice, Paula, but I wanted to know more about the character. So I went away and I wrote my first novel I wrote. Into writing fiction, it's a huge, vast difference. And I had to sort of, well, I sent the vampire story off to an American publishing company who actually critiqued the first 20 pages of it. And they sent it back to me, all by email in those days. Yeah. And when they marked it, and they got like passive and active, and I went into work and I was going, can anyone tell me what passive and active means? And nobody knew. So I thought, I've got a lot more that I need to know. So I got my husband to purchase books off eBay, and after 250 books he turned around and said, no, could you get on with the writing? I think you've read enough about it, you need to write now. So that's when I started writing short stories. And Ivy Lord, who wrote under the name of Maggie Ford, I listened to a radio programme where she was being interviewed, and she said that she started by writing short stories first before she started writing novels. And that's what I thought. I thought what I need to do is start on short stories, learn my craft before I tackle a novel, and so that's what I did.
And I think that shows that you had already, that you started to develop a style before you wrote Stone Angels. But even then, when she got to this stage and you'd written your first novel, you still had hurdles to get over, didn't you?
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, I don't know who said it, but there's quite a famous saying that writing the novel is the easy part. You know, you have to go through many drafts. I mean, I don't think any writer can write the first word to the last word and not because you have to edit. You can't write the first draft perfect. You have to go through, and also when you go back through the editing process, your characters develop because you get to know your characters more, and you get to know your plot more. That's the reason why I always start with short stories first, because you know, with Stone Angels, I mean, that was 117,000 words when I originally wrote it, and I had to cut it down an awful lot, reduce it an awful lot. But also it's the new novel, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to just write the end and then send it out. I wanted to make sure that I had a piece of work that I could be proud of. You know.
And of course, you went through the usual process that many novelists do, getting their first book published, of getting countless rejections from publishers for all sorts of different reasons. But did you find the feedback that they were giving you really useful to help you with the finished product?
Some publishers do give you feedback. Not all publishers give you feedback. Sometimes they might have published something that's very similar, you know, but I don't see rejection as a bad thing. I mean, it does hurt, and as the rejections went on, I thought I might get to 50, but then some of the great writers have been rejected lots of times. You know, I just see rejection as a chance to have another look. I mean, great if they give you feedback. Funny enough, Darkstrokes is a new name for the company, but they did originally were Crooked Cat. And I did send Stone Angels to Crooked Cat, and they did reject it. But they said, you know, they were the ones that said it needed more editing. And so I sent it out to a few more. And
that actually of what the type of novel that you wanted to write and why you wanted to write it.
Yes.
So thank you very much. I think it's sort of like, would it be fair to say that for any of the budding authors out there who are perhaps watching this, that two factors that you need, two things that you need, are perseverance and patience?
Oh yes. Yes, totally.
As well as
totally.
a thick skin, perhaps.
Well, yeah, thick skin. But I mean, like I said, if you look at rejection as something positive, that it makes you go back and have another look. And if you are a writer or an author or a budding author who thinks this is the best that I can get it, there is always some way you can make improvements. There is always some way you can have a look at it and rewrite it. And I don't regret the rewrites. I mean, at some point you do get pretty, I don't like to say sick of your characters. You do. But then what I did is I sort of set it to one side, and I did a lot of short stories, and then I went back and had another look. And actually when I went back and had another look, I thought, you know, I can cut so much of this out, you know, and tighten it. And it's not so much in reducing. You're reducing the word count, you're not actually reducing the story, and you're actually tightening the story up. And you can only do that if you've had rejections on on your book, on your manuscripts. So.
Excellent, thank you very much. So, the book comes with a subtitle, When Art Becomes Murder. So we know what it's about, we know the world in which it's set,
Yeah.
and we know who the perpetrator is, because that's never hidden from us. But were there any particular reasons why you set it in the art world? Do you have an art background? Do you have an art interest? Was it the possibilities within that you thought you could do a lot with?
Well, originally, the Stone Angels actually comes out of a short story which I wrote, which was called Roofscapes. And in 2011, the Writers Magazine and the Harrogate Crime Writers Festival got together and they did a competition. And the competition was the theme was 10 because it was their 10th anniversary of the Harrogate Crime Writers Festival. It was their 10th anniversary. And so obviously it had to be a crime story and it had to have 10 in it. And to start with, what I do when I'm going to write a short story, I think about 3 possibilities, and then you reject the first one that you think of, basically, because that idea is what a lot of other writers could come up with the same idea, and so I like to think outside the box. And my first idea was to have somebody trapped underground and they got 10 minutes of air, you see. And I sort of went through all of these ideas, and I thought, well, if the person is buried underground, because most people, that's what they do, they would hide the body, they would bury it underground. And so this is going to sound quite crazy, but what happened was my electronic dictionary, when I have electronic dictionary on my computer, and when it opens up, it always opens up on something different. And on this particular day, when it opened up on the word roofscapes. And I thought, that's it. I will write a story where instead of the bodies being hidden underground, they were hidden on plain sight, on the side of a building. And they would be stone angels. And but what happened was, the more I thought about it, the reason why most criminals land up being caught by the police is because they tend to slip up, or they tend to tell too many people, or there's too many people know. And so I felt that in this case, the criminal needed to be somebody who was very self-contained, and so that's where James came in. And I thought he wouldn't be able to haul a body up on the side of a building, and he wouldn't be able to case them in concrete so that they were physically stone angels. But I thought, if he's an artist, he could paint the image, and it would be in plain sight, because there they would be on plain sight, and if he had an exhibition, they would be in plain sight. And so when I wrote the short story, I wrote it from the victim's point of view, where the novel Stone Angels is actually written from the artist's point of view. The short story is written from the 10th victim's point of view.
Right, this was indeed my next question, which is referring back to Roofscapes, in which James is a character in Roofscapes. But then you did write the Stone Angels from his point of view. And what was it that interested you about writing it from the perpetrator's perspective?
Well, I felt that the short story Roofscapes was pretty self-contained, and if I was to turn that into a novel, I felt that the short story would lose something, because it was written as a short story. And I had excuse me, I had such good feedback on the Roofscapes because the story was put up on the Harrogate Crime Writers website, and it remained there from 2012 until 2019 when they updated their site. So I was quite pleased about that. I was quite amazed that they did that. And so what I did, I took 2 years before I decided how to tell the story, because, as I said, I got to Whitby, and I suddenly thought, why don't I tell it from James's point of view? You know, because it would be very interesting to why he created the pictures. What was the driving force behind him creating these pictures? And
but and it's always going to be interesting as to how an author brings out aspects of the personality. And I always think that if you're writing in the first person, a mistake that is often made is that the reader finds out things before the person that you're writing from the point of view does, whereas in Stone Angels, nothing is found out. You don't find out anything before James finds it out.
yeah,
And his point of view, his suspicions about how things are happening. So I think that it works really, really well from that point of view, and you're really getting inside the mind of your character.
Yes.
You spoke about your angels, and you've spoken about them being on the roofs, and that's where James creates his work. But we also know that, or we assume, as the book sort of like hints at the cover and the blurb, that there are deaths